Hey, welcome to Wellness Farm Chat. I'm Brooke, your host, and here we'll be chatting about all things homesteading, farming, and wellness. If you are new to this lifestyle or are looking for simple and easy steps to begin your wellness journey, you are in the right place. Hello and welcome to Wellness Farm Chat. Today I have a special guest on the show. It's Shelby from Nourish with Shelby, and she's going to be sharing her budgeting tips for making meals for your family and just shopping on a budget and taking care of your family the best way possible. So welcome to the show, Shelby, and please share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brooke. I'm excited to be here today. So, my journey started about 7 years ago, and that's why I'm here and why I have made my page. We went to one income abruptly. We were the standard American family. We had no intention of living on one income, homeschooling, doing, the um, rebel kind of things that people are doing nowadays. But we did that because my son, my oldest son, he was injured by the vaccines, unfortunately. And that sent me down the rabbit hole of researching everything. And then that is also why, because we went to one income, what taught me how to budget our food better. And at first, it started with me just choosing the cheapest food as possible. And I had no regard to nutrition or how it was nourishing my family. And then I started coming across accounts like the Food Babe and learning more about
Mm-hmm.
ingredients. And at first, I felt really hopeless and overwhelmed because our budget was so tight. I was like, I can't pay $8
Yeah.
for a loaf of bread. So I
It's
just started learning
wild.
from
It's so
there.
stressful.
It is. And that's what I found too, is a lot of other women in particular, they feel overwhelmed when they're starting this journey because whether it's like, for instance, a lot of my audience are one income families. And so the thought of spending so much on the organic stuff or whatever it is feels really overwhelming. But there are ways to
Mm-hmm.
fit it into smaller budgets.
I really love your Instagram page because you share like the real, like you're
Mhm,
one income and like I'm also a one income family and it is possible. You just have to
mhm,
like cut back in other areas of your life and learn how to cook really simply, I think.
mhm,
Yeah. Okay, so that was your turning point. What are
mhm.
some top tips that you have for stretching that grocery budget and prioritizing health?
Okay. So I think the way that I really stretch our budget is buy in bulk. But I know sometimes you can't always do that, especially when you are on that really tiny budget. 5 years ago, buying in bulk was just not in our budget. But now that we can, it really does save us. Sticking to in season produce, that is one surefire way to save because if you're buying the strawberries out of season, let me think, what's avocados, things like that, it
Mm-hmm.
really adds on to your budget. They're more
Yeah.
expensive when you buy them out of season. And just sticking to really simple ingredients. You don't need just something that like has always bothered me when I see these recipes and cooking videos like on TikTok that go viral. It's usually like 50 ingredients. I mean, not really, I'm
I
over exaggerating,
know.
but it's a ton of ingredients and you're spending like $30 on one meal to feed just a couple people. And that's kind of ridiculous. So just
It's funny.
uh-huh.
Yeah, because I agree with that because I'm like, don't buy that ingredient that you only use for that one meal and then you can
Yes.
never use it again. And then it's like garbage and it just sits in your fridge forever. Yeah, I totally agree with
Yes.
you on that
Yeah.
one.
And that's to that point, that's another way to save money is find ingredients. Like there's so many things that are in my pantry, and I encourage people to build what I call a working kitchen, that I use for multiple meals. And it's just your basic,
Hmm.
rice, flour, canned vegetables or frozen vegetables or fresh if I can get them fresh. Um, tomato sauces and tomato paste, like just simple ingredients that go for so
Hmm.
many different meals. That will also save you money in the long run.
Oh, I love that. Thanks for that one. Okay, so do you buy organic? Do you recommend people that are on a budget to buy organic? And what are your thoughts on that?
So I think organic can be best. It can be. So a couple of things that I try to buy organic most of the time are any grains. So your rice, oatmeal, flours, things like that, because you're going to have less gly glyphosate. I think that's how you pronounce it correctly.
Glyphosate.
Yeah. You're gonna have less exposure, and that will lessen your exposure. So I really recommend people trying to buy that. And thankfully, because of the demand, more people are buying that. It is a little cheaper sometimes to get that organic. And then I really recommend looking at the Dirty Dozen with your produce.
Hmm.
It's a list you can Google, and you can look that up and see what's the worst and most sprayed with pesticides. And but ultimately, at the end of the day, if you cannot afford all organic, because some people honestly can't, and 5 years ago, I wasn't buying any organic. Like, it was just buying all conventional meat, produce,
Hmm.
and I know that it was still healthier than me just buying the ultra processed convenience items. So
Yeah.
do what you can with what you have.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I know we, like when you were talking about buying in bulk, we had to like
Mhm,
wait to buy those bulk 5 gallon bins that we would put
mhm,
all our grain in and put our flour. And it wasn't just like we could do it because they're
mhm.
expensive too. And then you
Yeah.
have to then buy the other things that you want to put in them. So it's like you have to, yeah, you have to be strategic and you have to be patient. I think that's a hard one for me is being patient and waiting to make a purchase like that because it's an important purchase for your family. Okay,
Mhm.
so where do you recommend people buying their food?
So, in a perfect world, I would say all local. You're not, yeah, yeah, like you're going to the farmers markets, you're meeting your local farmers. But I also understand that there are so many busy people. Your budget may not allow it. So, I think a great starting place, Costco, has a lot of organic options, and they also have in bulk. You can buy things bulk. Aldi's is really great. So if you're not at the buying in bulk stage, Aldi's has so much great organic produce, meats, all the things. Um, and then Azure Standard, that's another one, and naturally a deal. Those are
Okay, I
the
haven't heard of
kinds
that one.
yeah, you order online and then you have to go to a pickup local to your
Okay.
town or
Oh,
close.
Azure. Is that Azure
Yeah,
Standard?
Azure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but the other one you said, the last one you said, what
Naturally
was
a
that?
deal.
Okay, okay. That one I haven't heard of yet. Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to look that up. They have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it. It's similar to Azure Azure Standard.
Azure.
Um, yeah. Yeah, I don't pronounce things properly, I guess you would say. But
That's okay.
naturally a deal, a lot of times you can get like things that are like closeout sales, and it's usually all
Okay.
organic and things in that nature. So definitely look into that. And then if all else fails, there's Kroger's. Kroger's has a ton of organic options. And then
Okay.
lastly, the terrible Walmart. They're actually, I've noticed though, they are getting more organic options and cleaner options because more people are voting with their dollars. So these
I
companies,
really do agree with that. Like I'm
yeah.
seeing more organic
Mhm.
stuff available and it's making me wonder on the authenticity of it, but I'm
Yeah.
still happy to see it and people are starting to think twice about it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So do you have meals that you make all the time that are budget friendly?
Yeah. So here are a few that I use that are generally like using the same ingredients, just different variations. So for lunch, a lot of times we make pizzas. I make homemade breads, and that's usually I'll use homemade bread for sandwiches or with eggs and toast for the kids. And then for like dinners, we do lots of like vegetable soup, and a lot of times I'll use ground venison. And then if we have
Mm.
ground beef, I'll use that, but we don't always have that.
Is your husband
And
a
then
hunter?
yes, he is. Hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, and that's another caveat I'll add to this, that so we love ground beef, but we
Mhm.
are taking a stand and not buying it all the time from the grocery store. And with that, right now in our budget, we can't afford, to buy the quarter or half cow, but we have a lot of
Mhm.
venison. And so that's what we're relying on. My husband can go out and kill a couple deer a year or harvest a couple deer.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, in the season, and that feeds our family, and we're doing with
Mhm.
what we can in our budget. So I just really
That's
recommend people,
awesome.
yeah, doing that and thinking outside of the box. But so
Mhm.
vegetable soup is one that we rotate, and especially during the cold months, we have that a lot. We usually do like a stir fry and rice or taco
Mm.
bowls and rice. And then with chicken, when we have chicken, chicken pot pie, chicken and
Yum.
dumplings, chicken noodle soup. And again, all of those meals primarily use almost the same ingredients to an extent. There's some variations.
Like
But I
different
can,
meats.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and different textures,
Hmm.
like soup.
Yeah. So those, and again, those are really budget friendly. I can make them stretch. And a lot of times, especially, and okay, I forgot this one. A roasted chicken. So when I make a whole
Oh, okay.
roasted chicken and root veggies, that's also going to save you a lot of money if you
Oh,
use like
yeah.
potatoes, carrots, onions, mushrooms, and they store really long, which is really
Mhm.
nice as well. But, you make that chicken at the beginning of the week and then you shred it off and you have some for lunch. You throw some in the soup and then you boil that carcass down and you have you some stock. So you stretch and you get as much
Perfect.
nutrients as you can.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Yeah, because I want to say that I purchase the same things every week. Like I
Mhm.
only use it just because I have 4 children with me. Like my grocery list, I just bring it with me because I have the 4 kids and I'm going to get
Mhm.
distracted. But I'm buying like nothing crazy, nothing random, unless it's like a birthday or the holidays. I'm buying like onions, carrots, garlic,
Mhm.
potatoes, and then like some meat for breakfast. Like
Mhm.
that is what I really buy, and like butter. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really like the simplicity of it, and our
Mhm.
food tastes really good. Like we're
Yeah.
not lacking in being fed really wonderful meals. So I really like that.
Mhm.
Okay, so what are some, I don't know, do you have any other practical tips? So simplifying your meals, like do you have like
Mhm.
10 simple meals that you kind of stick to for the few weeks, or what are your little tips that you have?
So as far as meals, yeah, we do have kind of I like to call them like our family rotation meals. That I know my family will eat, and that's a tip that I recommend everybody writing down the meals that your family loves, so that when you're doing your meal planning for the week, doing the grocery shopping, hey, I can make these meals. I'm happy with making them. I know how to make them, and my family will eat them. So that just takes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stress off of us moms that do all the cooking.
Yeah.
So that's one tip. And again, the roasted chicken, that's a great thing that you should implement each week
It's
because you
so
can take,
good.
yeah, it's so good and it's easy. And then you can take that carcass and make stock is the technical term when you use the bones, but you make the stock and
Mm-hmm.
then something for more nutrients that I like to do is I boil my rice and the stock, and then my kids
Yeah,
get more nutrients. And it really didn't cost me any extra. So that's another
it's so good.
great reusing leftovers, and not just sometimes that something that I will do is okay for vegetable soup, for instance. If we eat it for 2 days and then there's quite a bit of like the meat and veggies left, I'll drain off any remainder broth and then I'll stick that in the rice and I'll boil some rice and then we have like a stir fry with that soup. Well, it was a soup, but now it's turned into meat and veggies and it's stir fry. So that's another way you learn to reuse your leftovers. Um,
Okay.
and then just keep it so simple. Like you said, a lot of your meals can taste so good with just simple ingredients. When you're using like
Mm-hmm.
garlic and onions enhance any meal. Like it
I
just,
know, right?
yeah, add some salt, a little bit of butter. Yeah, it's so good.
It's so like I will just eat onions. Like I will saute onions for maybe
Yeah.
like 30 minutes in butter and salt,
Oh,
and I'll just have a bowl of sauteed onions. It's
yeah,
so good.
it is.
It's my daughters, they like the weird stuff. So what are some more, do you have more swaps that families can like upgrade easily that don't cost too much? Some small
Absolutely.
swaps?
Hmm. So definitely ditch the vegetable oil, canola
Ooh,
oil, all the
yes.
seed oils, margarine, and go to real butter. Animal fats are really like the best. If you can
Yeah.
get your lard, tallow, um, olive oil, and avocado oil, it's not really budget friendly if you're buying the most real, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you that's going to be budget friendly, but that's a great swap if you can afford it, if you can get the high quality wines. But butter is great. Even, the store bought butter that's not the organic, that's still going to be better than the margarine. So
Do
definitely go
you
ahead and
use like tallow?
I
Do you
do.
are do you have Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Use
Yeah,
it
we
for
do
my
too.
skin too.
Oh yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah, gotta use that. I like the tallow. It's great for frying. That's pretty much all I use it for, so I don't use that a whole lot. I like the lard for frying as well, and it's also good for sticking in some baked goods. It's good for
Okay.
like, yeah, biscuits and things like that. Because the fat quality, it just enhances the flavor.
Mhm.
Um, One that we swapped, and this has been a few years ago. This was one of the first swaps I made, especially with my kids, because sometimes I'll make pancakes for them. But swapping our syrup to real maple syrup.
Mm.
So yeah, the pancake
Okay.
syrup in the store now, it usually like Aldi's. I think right now it's like $5.29 for their bottle. And of course, the high fructose corn or all that stuff, the fake pancake syrup, it is cheaper, but the next thing is if you start making your own pancakes, you're probably going to save in the long run. And you also can buy the
Yes. Okay.
syrup. Mhm.
Y- So you know what's funny? So I'm from like Ontario, and in Ontario, that's where like the maple syrup is made or something.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like Ontario. Maybe there's a few other areas, but I didn't know that there was other syrup that you put people put on their pancakes. I just always thought it was maple syrup.
Mhm. And then you come to
So,
America
but
and it's
I
like,
was
oh.
I know. So I like, and we would go to maple syrup farms in my area. So I just always knew like maple syrup comes from a
Mhm.
tree and we put it on our pancakes. And then someone told me that like in the States, there's actual special syrup that they use for pancakes. And I didn't understand and I never tried it
Yeah.
before. I just thought there was cheap maple syrup and there is like cheaper, which
Yeah.
probably does have additives.
Mhm.
But then there's like the real maple syrup from the maple tree. And yeah, it's funny that you say that because I didn't know that there was a thing till like like a year
Oh,
ago.
how, yeah. And a lot of people, like, I feel like don't think about that, like what they're pouring. I mean, we know it's sweet. Maple syrup is a sugar. It's just not refined. It's real sugar, I guess we could
It's not a
say.
processed, highly
Yes.
processed
It's
sugar.
yes. It's a simple process, but yeah. So that's an easy swap that you can make, especially again if you have little kids. Just make that swap for them. It'll be better for them, for you.
Hmm.
One another thing is, especially if you are on a smaller budget, so your organic convenient snacks, the breads, the crackers, cookies, learn to bake at home. Because you're gonna say it's pennies on the dollar to, make your own muffins, your own bread, all those things, even using organic flours and I can't even talk ingredients using
Yes.
organic ingredients. Yeah. So
Well,
start
and
learning. Mhm.
when I go to the store, I see so many ingredients in the muffins and the cookies that
Yeah.
I'm like, why would they even need to add these in there? But I guess
This
it's shelf
long,
life,
like,
right?
yes,
And preservatives.
yes. And that's something that, if you are making your homemade bread, it will go bad faster. The muffins will go bad. But a lot of that stuff you can freeze. I know some women on
Hmm.
Instagram that they share, they once a month they do like a bulk baking and then they freeze it all and they just take out as
Yeah.
they need through the week. So if you have a busier
Hmm.
lifestyle, just do that. You'll save money and your family's getting better ingredients.
Hmm. It's so true. Okay, so those are some practical tips. Do you have so you have about like 10 recipes you would say that you kind of stick to? Because I wouldn't say I have about I don't go pretty wild. Like my husband right now, he really wants homemade pasta. So I will make the noodles and I don't have any fresh tomatoes canned right now. So I'm buying like an organic tomato sauce with all like I just have to make sure I know what is like what the ingredient is in the whole jar. So if I don't understand a word, I either like Google it and if it sounds funky, I'm like, all right, we'll find a different one. Because you know what I was saying actually to my husband the other day was like the ingredient, like the products that have better ingredients in it are not at eye level.
Hmm.
You have to actually like look up or look down or go somewhere else in the store to find
Yeah,
it, and it's not as easy. But they are there, like the options
we
are there for us. We just have to look a lot harder, and
we
it's hard
do.
when you
Yeah.
have kids with you.
And again, we have
Okay.
ground venison, so I'll make meatballs, and sometimes we have it with pasta. Sometimes the other night I made meatballs, and we just had it with beans and turnip greens, and that was so delicious.
Hmm.
It's a really
I think
easy.
I saw that on your Instagram
Yeah,
story too.
yeah. Just
I think
a
I liked
great,
it.
yeah, great Southern meal.
Ah.
Um, Let me see. Fried rice is one that we have. Again, if I use ground beef, ground pork, or ground venison, um, fried rice, I just throw some egg and mixed veggies and rice. Chicken stir fry is one that we have a lot. Crock pot chili. I make chili a lot. And again, we use ground
Okay.
venison most of the time in that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's probably so good for you. Like
yeah,
we have venison in our freezer too because my husband's a hunter as well,
mhm,
and it's so much. I think it's really good for you.
it is. Yeah.
I'm
Just,
very, I really love my venison.
mhm. And then we have like a stuffed pepper skillet. So when peppers are in season and we're getting them at a good price, again, it's rice and then pepper and then a ground meat, whether it's venison, beef, or
Okay.
sometimes pork. And sometimes we just have breakfast for dinner. I'll make homemade biscuits. Sometimes I'll fry some
Oh, nice.
taters in lard or tallow. And then if we have sausage or ground venison, you'll get a theme. We eat a lot of that, but we
Yeah.
again, it goes back to as a consumer doing my part and trying to do with what we have. And I think, and then chicken noodle soup or like a chicken fried rice soup, or not fried rice, chicken wild rice soup. I'll throw some rice in there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, was that 10?
Okay. So, yeah, no, don't worry. So, you have a farm as well. So, do you raise meat birds by any chance?
We do.
Okay.
So
So, these chicken from your that you're eating, they're
yeah,
yours?
hmm yeah. So
Oh,
we
awesome.
last summer, I think we had 30 that we raised. And we
Nice.
actually kind of failed them in a way because we did not get them to the butcher weight as we should have, and we learned from it though. We
Hmm.
actually found out we weren't feeding them enough protein in their feed. Now they were on fresh pasture, and we were moving them daily, twice a day actually, so they were still getting other means, but the actual protein in the feed they were getting, it wasn't enough,
Oh, it
so
was
they
too
didn't grow out as
low?
they should. But then we did a second
Okay.
batch, and they did really well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And was that your first time ever doing it?
Yeah, the first time, yeah, it was our friends
Okay.
came over and we just made an event out of it and we had a good time because
Oh,
we
that's
don't
so
even have a
fun.
chicken plucker still. We all do it by
Oh.
hand. Yeah.
Oh my, well, 30's not so bad. So,
Yeah.
okay. So when we first did it, we did 25
hmm
and we did buy a chicken plucker. So our plan was we'll do a small amount of chickens
hmm
to learn how to do it and then we can buy the equipment
Yeah.
and then the next time we'll do more chickens and we'll
Yeah.
have some experience and we won't have to worry about buying knives and big cutting boards and plucker and cones and all the things. So I think this year we ordered 75 and that's the most we've ever ordered plus turkeys.
hmm
And my husband, he likes to do it all by himself. And he brings me the chicken and then I
hmm
like gut it and I organize like the liver and the hearts and the feet and I like freeze things and yeah, so he has like a system and he's really fast. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get in your way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually do if I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So that's nice. Are you hoping to do like more? Because I like to do more so I can give away to friends and family. I
hmm
really love that. Um, but yeah, what are your plans
So yeah,
with
our
that?
plans are to do more. We actually sold I think it was fall. It was around fall. It was right before getting leading up to Thanksgiving. So we raised some turkeys. We sold some for Thanksgiving. Some people bought some Thanksgiving turkeys. And then we had one left over for ourselves. And it was the most delicious turkey I've ever had.
Oh, I bet.
It's a complete different taste than like the factory farm turkey that you'll buy at Walmart or wherever. It really is.
It
And I'm
is.
actually really excited to get more turkeys for that. But definitely more chickens. We're hoping at the end of this month we're going to get our order in and get those ready. And we are raising them for some other families. And then
Oh, good.
we have some feeder hogs that we have. We have 8,
Oh,
and
exciting.
hopefully in the next month they'll be going to other families too. So
Oh, that's awesome.
thank you. My husband and I, our dream is actually to create a regenerative meat to consumer business. but we can't go into a ton of debt. He's still working outside of the home full time. So we just view it, we have to do it in God's timing and do one
Yeah.
step at, do a little bit here, but that's what we really hope
Mm-hmm.
to get to.
Oh, that's so awesome. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about this? What's it called? Your virtual homesteading conference. I know you're planning something really big, and I want you to share it. Can you, yeah, share a little bit more about that? I'm really excited to hear
Absolutely.
more.
Yeah. So March 11th, tickets go on sale, but it's the actual virtual
Okay.
conference isn't till April 11th. It is called Revive the Table, and the mission is to empower, educate, and encourage folks to choose real food. Because,
Yes.
like we're talking on this podcast, a lot of people they might feel overwhelmed, lack the knowledge, just need the encouragement to take that step to start eating better and have the information. So I have talked to some really amazing people. Joel Salentin is one awesome person.
Woohoo!
I met him last week. He has a
No
wonderful,
way! In
yeah,
person?
well, no, virtually. We talk
Oh,
virtually like
virtually.
me and
I
you.
was gonna say
Yes.
that's even cooler.
Yeah. Definitely
Oh,
no hope in the
congratulations.
next year or two. My husband and I, like, our dream is to go to Polyface, but who knows if we'll get
Oh,
there. We
cool.
hope so.
One
um,
day.
but
It's
yeah,
good to
very
have dreams.
genuine and kind person. And then I have Molly Englehart. She has a regenerative ranch down in Texas. She's going to be sharing about her
Mm,
journey. She used to be a vegan and now she's drinking raw
wow.
milk and running a ranch. So pretty amazing lady. Ruth Ann Zimmerman, she's going to be doing it. And so many other folks. And again, the
That's
intention
awesome.
is to give people the ability to see the reason to choose real food and how to do it. And with your ticket, you also get bonus content. So something that, because I understand a lot of folks, they want to do better and they can't afford to just buy all the things and do all the things. So when I've put together resources or projects, I really try to put as much as I possibly can. So a lot of the speakers, they are giving away cookbooks for free. Um,
Wow.
AJ Richards, he's also another one. He started what is it called? A meat to consumer, I think, website to help others, consumers find local meat. But he's going to teach you how to go to your butcher when you order, that whole cow and how to tell the butcher what cuts of meat to get. And he has a
And
free,
you can ask for bones back
yes, yes,
and
ask for
fat.
bones for sure. Yes. That's something actually Ruth Ann Zimmerman, she's going to be teaching you how to do that. So,
Oh,
um,
awesome.
yeah, so a lot of great information because, um, my purpose is motherhood right now. Like most of my time goes to motherhood and stuff, but I also feel a purpose to really help other people on their journey to real food. Because I think when you start,
Hmm.
for me, when I started over 7 years ago, when everything happened, that was just a turning point. And now here I am 7 years later. And it's because I took tiny choices every single day and I'm building on that. And I just want other people to know that you don't have to change your diet all in one day. You don't have to learn all these skills all in one day. Just tiny choices, tiny, like you had said, about like the buckets and buying in bulk. Like you couldn't do it at that time. And now here you are doing it. So it's just tiny
Yeah.
things that we do. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thanks so much, Shelby, for all this. Okay, so where can my listeners find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so Nourish with Shelby is my Instagram. I'm on Substack with that name. I think that's what they call it on their Substack. But I write on Substack. I have a podcast, Nourish with Shelby. Um, so yeah, you can follow around there, and I have some resources, cookbooks, and things of that nature to help people more. And thanks so much for having me, Brooke. This has been great. I'm glad we
Oh,
could get together.
yes. Finally.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I can't wait to chat more with you on Instagram and see all your stories.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Please follow and subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. Also, if you could leave a quick review, that would mean so much to me. It is the only way I can truly know who is listening to this podcast and how you're benefiting from the show. See you next week.